All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today we're taking a really close look at the anatomy of a massive covert intelligence mission, something called Operation Hornet. And to do this right, we're actually going to start right at the climax, in June of 1987.
Picture this. It's a crisp morning in Lahore, Pakistan. A man finishes his prayers at a local mosque and just starts walking home. Suddenly, two men wearing Pakistani Ranger uniforms approach him. They confirm his identity, and then, in an absolute flash, they draw their pistols. According to the source material, 9 shots were fired. The man Abdul Khan, who's described as a major ISI operative, was gunned down right there in broad daylight. The wild part? The shooters weren't Rangers at all. They were 2 unknown Indian raw gunmen, effectively executing the final, decisive strike of Operation Hornet. Part 1. The threat. Abdul Khan and B.N. Sandhu. So you're probably wondering, how did we get to that blood-stained street in Lahore? Well, the source pulls us back in time a bit to November 1984, to a tiny cafe in Paris. Here, we're introduced to our key figures, the threats themselves, Abdul Khan and B.N. Sandhu, and the man quietly tracking them, raw undercover agent Sanjeev Jindal.
Now, just look at this timeline. It really shows you the massive global footprint of the narrative we're breaking down today. We aren't just looking at some localized conflict here. The source outlines an operation that literally cascaded across continents, from a silent elimination in Vienna back in '83 to intelligence gathering in Paris and Delhi, active recruitment in London and Austria, deep financial infiltration over in California, all the way to that dramatic climax in Lahore. It's a huge geographic web.
So who exactly was the target? Well, based on documents Agent Jindal reviewed in Paris, which were actually supplied by a British immigration officer named Clark Lee, Abdul Khan was what's known in the intelligence world as a handler. Sitting comfortably in London, Khan was basically acting as the central nervous system. He was directly connecting militants, specifically an operative named B.N. Sandhu, to senior ISI officers. And the source notes that every single time they met at Khan's London home, a new attack would follow in India.
Part 2. Birth of Operation Hornet. Frustrated by all this alarming intel, but seeing zero initial response, Jindal gets summoned to the RAW headquarters in Delhi in December 1984. He sits down with senior officer Anuj Bardwaj and makes it crystal clear B.N. Sandhu and his ISI backers are planning something massive. Jindal pitches a really bold strategy. Bardwaj gives it the green light, and right there in that secure room, Operation Hornet officially gets its wings.
Now, the crucial thing to understand is how Anuj Bardwaj structured this mission. He broke it down into a very distinct 2-phased approach. Step 1 was pure data gathering, intelligence collection, managed by Clark Lee and a highly trained operative named Agent Mohan. Step 2 was the covert operation itself, meaning the physical strikes and infiltrations, directly supervised by Agent Jindal on the ground. Basically, first you gather the data, and then you strike. This methodical pacing is exactly why this explainer matters for understanding real-world intelligence. It's rarely just non-stop action. It's mostly meticulous, exhausting groundwork.
Part 3. Building the Spy Network. With the structure locked in, the source material explains exactly how RAW went about building an international network of informants, and it wasn't about sending in a massive army. It was about strategically placing eyes and ears exactly where they needed to be, using some pretty varied tactics of persuasion.
What's truly fascinating to me here is the sheer variety of leverage RAW utilized to flip these assets. I mean, they straight up bribed Abdul Khan's gardener, Tariq Siddiqui, to intercept his mail and bank statements. They leaned on a guy named Amarjit Singh by using his fear of deportation against him. They activated a professional Austrian asset named Sophie for a cool 10 grand. And they recruited Harpreet Ahuja, a disillusioned youth out in California, purely by tapping into a sense of patriotism. It's honestly a masterclass in exploiting human motivations.
And that brings us to this particularly intense moment described in the source. Agents Mohan and Clark Lee cornered Amarjit Singh in a London immigration office. Now, Amarjit was actually the cousin of a key operative named Harbaksh Singh. They literally threw his own asylum application right in his face, asking, "You killed 4 policemen in India, and you are asking the Indian government for protection." By leveraging his absolute terror for his family's safety back home, they flipped him. They forced Amarjit to become an informant against his own flesh and blood.
And you know what? That leveraged intelligence yielded immediate results. Amarjit's inside information revealed that his cousin, Harbaksh, was traveling to Islamabad for high-level meetings. This led directly to the very first major covert action under Operation Hornet. In August 1985, a heavy truck traveling on the wrong side of Pakistan's N5 national highway slammed head-on into Harbaksh's car. The crash was completely staged, of course. The car burst into flames, and the operative was silently eliminated. Part 4. Infiltrating the finances. With Harbucksh out of the picture, the explainer shifts gears, because taking out operatives is one thing, but if you really want to kill the syndicate, you have to starve it of its money. The operation moves to California, where the source says operative Harpreet Ahuja and the Austrian asset, Sophie, teamed up to target a man named Avtar Sethi, the guy financing the entire network.
This shift perfectly shows how major geopolitical changes can create unexpected operational openings. The narrative explains that Sethi's old method of moving money was through the notorious Bank of Credit and Commerce International, or BCCI. But because BCCI had recently fallen under heavy American scrutiny, Sethi was paralyzed. He literally couldn't move his funds. This massive vulnerability allowed Harpreet, who was posing as a businessman with European connections, to infiltrate Sethi's operation by offering him a brand new lifeline, a fake import-export front to perfectly mask the terror financing.
Part 5. Dismantling the syndicate. So Harpreet and Sophie embed themselves deep into Sethi's California office. For 4 months, they just quietly gather every single financial record, contact, and routing detail they can get their hands on. Then, they simply vanish. This absolute goldmine of intelligence paves the way for the real cleanup. In March 1986, an Indian embassy official named Ranjan Gupta walks directly into Avtar Sethi's California office to confront him face-to-face.
Gupta drops a massive file full of bank records and absolute, undeniable proof of terror financing right onto Sethi's desk. And it works. Sethi completely breaks during the exhaustive interrogations that follow in safe houses in California and later in Paris. He gives up a staggering number, 27. 27 hidden operatives actively working for the syndicate inside India. So that list of 27 names gets sent directly to India's Home Minister at the time, and what followed was a highly classified, completely silent cleanup. According to the source, out of those 27 identified threats, exactly 18 were silently eliminated in covert operations across the country. It really highlights how intelligence isn't just about gathering information, it's about acting on it with lethal precision.
But man, the geopolitical fallout didn't stop there. Avtar Sethi, who is now working as an asset, intersected audio of an imminent attack. This undeniable intelligence was shared straight with the British government, and the results were massive. The source outlines that Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi made a direct call to Margaret Thatcher. Consequently, the UK officially deported hostile agents from the Pakistani embassy, and by November 1986, B.N. Sandhu and his top aides were arrested by London police. The entire London terror network completely collapsed.
Part 6. The Final Strike. Which brings us full circle right back to where we started this whole explainer. It's June 1987. Abdul Khan, the master handler, is in his hometown of Lahore. Seeing Sandhu arrested and the network totally dismantled, Khan assumes the storm has finally passed. He thinks he's perfectly safe walking out of that mosque. The source claims that the disguised raw gunman walked up and asked a seemingly innocent question. "Sir, are you the Abdul Khan from London?" Khan, perhaps out of habit or maybe just pride, simply answered yes, and that was his final act before being shot 9 times. Now, the official local police report tried to call it a business rivalry, but the source maintains it was the decisive final strike of Operation Hornet, executed right in the intelligence agency's own backyard. As we wrap up this explainer, Operation Hornet leaves us with a pretty chilling thought regarding the unseen world of international espionage. I mean, think about it. This operation involved assets in Vienna, Paris, London, California, and Lahore. They used everything from fake businesses to staged highway collisions, all while the general public remained completely unaware. It really begs the question, how many other silent global wars are being fought, right now, completely hidden in the shadows? Keep asking questions and definitely keep looking closely at the world around you.